Hello, welcome back to a new YouTube video. In today's video I have a game played in the FIDE Grand Prix semi-finals between Wesley So and Tabatabaei Amin. Wesley So with the white pieces and Tabatabaei Amin with the black pieces. So Wesley So begins the game with d4, which is a very solid move, and black responds with f6, preparing a solid game. So now white chooses the Queen's Gambit opening, and black decides to choose Queen's Gambit decline. So both players develop and try to control the center. So now is equal for both sides. Both players are following the best move so far, and we have both players are developing their pieces, and pawn f3, bishop d6, and bishop d3. Now it's hard to decide in which side the players are going to castle, because now the black queen can move and will be in the same situation than white. So pawn pushes one square, and white decides to develop his knight on e2 to be more confused in which side they are going to castle his king. So pawn pushes one square more, and this bishop hasn't any square to go. So bishop f5 only move, and white and black castle, both side castles, and queen e8. Here bishop takes e6. I think in the human perspective is an accuracy, because this will open the file to the rook on f8, and he does, and both sides starting to attack on the queen side. And this is favorable for white, because now the more active side for black is the king side. Rook goes to protect the pawn on f3, and bishop goes to b4. This is a very strong move, because in a future, once that c takes c3 happened, the knight will be attacked twice. So bishop retreats to e1. This is a very human move, adding another layer of protection to the knight. So knight goes to b6, and queen unpinned herself. Rook goes to f7 and takes the pawn. Now both rooks for black are very strong and in the best square possible. But here we have a very strong move, which is a5, attacking the knight that now has to go to an uncomfortable position. But first, black takes the bishop on c3. A pair of trades happens. Now this rook is very active, isn't the most active square of the board, but we have the first inaccuracy, which is c7. Why this move is an accuracy? This move will allow white to develop his bishop on g3, and the rook could go back to f7, but this would be weird. First goes to f7 and then c7, while black is helping his opponent to develop their pieces. So therefore rook goes to c6, and preparing double rooks in the next move. But now the first pawn dropped of black. Now white is up a pawn. queen goes to g6, activating all their pieces, and now white asks black to trade rooks, and happen the trades of some rooks, and c1. Queen e8, this is a very deep knowledge. It seems like black queen is retreating to a inactive square, but this doesn't more. Now bishop g3 only move because if for example white does another move, this will allow this queen goes to c6, attacking the rook and the bishop, and the only move for white will be rook takes c4, and this will create a pass pawn for black. But that doesn't happen in the game. But this also allows black to activate herself. So a pair of trades occur, and here we have this is one of the most aggressive moves in this game. What does this move? Well, this move restricts completely the black knight. This knight hasn't a square to go, and all the action this knight is going to miss. So rook goes to b3, preparing to push the pawn, but bishop goes to e1. Now the pawn cannot push, and all the position for black is completely stopped. But what does when you are in a position completely stopped? Starting to creating some activity, but this now would take forever to go to the action. So a pair of trades occur, and this move is one of the strongest. This paralyzes completely black. Now in this scenario, this pawn cannot push because the queen will be hanging. So that doesn't happen, and we have teko and queen e6. King goes to f8 to avoid any more, because the knight on a8 was hanging, and queen goes to d1, the more active, pinning the bishop, but the simple move king f2. Now black here misses an opportunity to create some activities, which is pawn c3. It seems like a free pawn, but it isn't. This will be a very strong move. Now if the bishop takes the pawn, this will at least not winning the game completely, but now black could get a draw. But that doesn't happen, of course. King goes to g3, and the only killer move, bishop f2, and black resign. Why black resign? Because now this bishop is going to c3, creating a checkmate, and now for black the only move is take the bishop, but this will be too much for black, and this will be only a matter of techniques to win this and win the pawn. So Tabatabaei, Amin resigned the game, and Wesley So is the winner of the day one. So it's all for today. Thank you so much for listening to me, and see you the next video.